That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm,
articulate and intelligent.
Gregg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them offensive as hell.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, fuck them.
Ooh, terrible! Bad! Not bad! Oh, pretty good. Okay, decent, fair, great, I loved it!
This sucks. Yeah, you really gotta wonder how the stuff gets made.
All right, welcome to the Straight Red Card. Once again, I am Brettless. But the show has to go on, right? It still has to go on. So I'm going to do I thought about it for a while. And I thought, I've been pretty mean sometimes to Gregg. But what if I had to write him a letter and just say, hey, Gregg, here's some things that maybe you shouldn't do going forward. You know what I mean? Here's some things you might want to change now that you're going to be the boss again of the U.S. men's national team. And I'm going to try to be nice about it, but I'm going to be very specific about what I think Gregg needs to not do going forward. Not so much what he needs to do, because I think we know what he needs to do, but there'll be a little of that as well. So if I were to pen a letter to Gregg, and by the way, that was not me in the thumbnail. I know it looks a little like me, but it's actually Ernest Hemingway, one of the greatest writers. I'm not comparing myself to Ernest Hemingway in any way. Just look a little like him with the beard. And I do wear glasses, but not on this show. I just can't see things far away. I can see things fine right in my face. But not too close. I can't see that shit either anymore. Yeah, growing old's a bitch. All right. So I wrote a letter to Gregg, and it's not really a letter. This is bullet points. And there's a lot of them. I think there's like 24 bullet points. So let's start. All right. Dear Gregg, as you take over the United States men's national team once again, here are just some things I don't want to hear or see you do going forward. Number one, I don't want to hear you talk about your system anymore. It's not about the system. It's about the players. And systems are all fine, but you're going to have to be flexible going forward, and you're going to have to give these kids some freedom to be themselves. Let that happen. We've seen Hudson do it. We've seen BJ do it. Let them take the next step. Don't tie them down with your system. Be flexible. Be understanding. And let these kids cook. Also, I don't want to hear anything more about your culture. I'm happy that the United States men's national team has a fantastic team culture. But that wasn't all you, buddy. A lot of these players have been playing together since they were youths, young people. They know each other. There was already the chemistry for a good culture to be there. In the most recent interview with Christian Pulisic, with our main man, Herc, even he said, yeah, that's great. We do have a good culture, but that's not all about Gregg. We've known each other for a long time. And by the way, he said, it's not like I was out there saying, like, Gregg's the only dude that could have the job. Gregg, like I was just saying, it had to be Gregg. And he even went on and said, it doesn't matter who the coach would have been. This team and this crop of players, and you'll check out Herc's interview. I don't know when it's coming out, but it's on ESPN FC. I saw clips. He's already saying, hey, don't come at me like I was out there like all over Gregg's nuts. That's not what I was doing. And all these idiots out there writing this shit, like all this player endorsement, Weah probably went the furthest. But seriously? An endorsement? he said Gregg should be considered. Well, considered? Like, I had like 4 chicks I was considering dating when I was in high school. I preferred the first 2, but just because you're being considered doesn't mean that there aren't other options. So let's stop with this crap. Also, Gregg, remember when you played Tyler Adams at right back? Let's not do that again. Okay? Let's not do that. Remember when we lost to Canada and you said that we dominated? Can you be more self-aware going forward? Be more self-aware going forward. I know when you're a big, great, fucking magical leader that you think you are, you have a hard time being self-aware because you just let shit spew out of your mouth without thinking about it and without being aware of what we all just saw on the field, on the pitch, as they say in England. Be more self-aware. Dear Gregg, remember when you lied about John Brooks multiple times about his injuries, that he couldn't play a high line? Well, it seems that BJ's just continued this. So obviously there is a cultural aspect and an issue that John Brooks doesn't seem to fit into this particular group of young players. And you don't have to call him out and say he doesn't fit in to our culture. You can just say the way the team is built and the way the chemistry of the team is built right now, I don't want to bring another older player back into the system when I think what we've got going forward with Chris Richards, CCV, and other center backs who are the future of this team, and we have the experience we need at a top level from a guy like Tim Ream, I don't think it's necessary to bring John Brooks in right now. I think he duplicates what Tim Ream brings us. It's a simple answer. It's a simple answer that gets you everybody off your nutsack. So do it. Do it. Just say it. And then no one will ask you questions or BJ questions or anybody any questions about John Brooks. Just say Brooks and Ream duplicate each other. And we can't have them both at camp going forward. And then you won't have the problem. Of course, unless Tim Ream's injured, then it's a little weird that Brooks doesn't get called up to Gold Cup, and it's because you're doing him a favor, BJ. Right. All right. More things going forward. Gregg, remember when you said Tim Ream was too slow to play on this team because he couldn't play a high line? Don't say stupid shit like that anymore. Until you completely evaluated the situation. I mean, that's why Tim Ream was so shocked you called him for the World Cup. He was like, wait a minute, what? Just watch Tim Ream interview. He's like, well, wait a minute, let me think about this, because you serious? Am I going to fit? You going to play me? That's how distant you would become to a player playing at the top level in the Premiership. Your communication was not very good with Tim Ream, or else he wouldn't have had that reaction. He would have been like, yeah, you've been keeping in touch with me. Okay, yeah, I'm glad you called. I'm ready to come back. But you had discounted him at such a level, you would almost took a player like Tim Ream and shoved him in such a dark corner. He was shocked when you called him before the World Cup. He had to think about playing for us because he's like, is this for real? That can't happen anymore going forward. Your communication has to be better. You have to stay in touch, and you have to have the foresight to understand who's going to be important on this team. You can't wait till the fucking month before the World Cup to call Tim Ream and shock him. That shouldn't have been a shocking call for Tim Ream. It should have been like, okay, yeah, we've been keeping in touch, and he kind of told me, we might need you. Shit, that's just crazy. That can't happen anymore, Gregg. Okay, no more Gio's injured at the World Cup, or Brooks has got a back sprain, or somebody's got a pulled left testicle when they don't. You can't make up injuries anymore. Be authentic. Stop fucking making shit up. Okay? Dear Gregg, you never played a 10. BJ played a 10. Hudson played a 10. Are you going to play a 10? Because there's this guy on this team named Gio Reyna who can play 10. You going to do that? I think you should. I think you need to think about it. I think it needs to happen. All right. Dear Gregg, please do not do anything like you did during the World Cup. No more Shaq Mooreism when you got a guy like Joe Scally sitting on the bench. Shaq Moore, a guy who couldn't start regularly in the Segunda League in Spain, gets to start over Joe Scally. That's a fucking crime. And that can't happen anymore. Look at what BJ did. So Des gets injured, Scally starts, he plays just fine. You didn't give Joe Scally that chance. And I would disregard anything Joe Scally said about your system. And just tamper your fucking ego a little and just deal with what the kid said because he's right. It shouldn't be that complicated. He should have more freedom to play the way he wants to play. I hope you're listening, Gregg. I hope you listen to that. Because apparently all these massive amounts of psychological tests and intelligence tests they ran on you by Betty Crocker, you were the fucking finest specimen ever. Which I highly doubt. I highly fucking doubt that. But okay. No more long. Gregg, no more long. No more rolled on. No more areola. No more. The list goes on. No more of that shit. That shit's got to stop. You got good players in MLS like Miles. Keep Miles. Zimmerman's still apparently one of your faves and can be effective. So not going to be all up your ass if you keep picking Zimmerman. Although it's not my preferred what I would do. But that's fine. Remember when you left Pepe off the World Cup roster? No more of that. That can't happen again. You remember who you picked? Jesus Ferreira. No more of that. That can't happen again. Haji Wright? Really? I mean, he scored that weird goal, but I mean, it's just weird. Those are weird picks. Out of the blue. That can't happen anymore. Those felt like gut picks. Or maybe you used some weird stats I don't know about to pick those guys. No more immoral leadership summits. No more of these business summits, leadership summits. Fuck all those people. Most of them are fucking shit. They don't know anything about leadership. They're leaders because they got the power. That doesn't make them leaders. Just look at most of corporate America. They're not leaders. They're not. You want to hang out with those goons? Go ahead, buddy. But I don't think you're going to gain anything from that. They're just taking advantage of people for the most part. Is that what you want to learn from them? Quit pretending you're some fucking philosopher, too. Really? You think building a common mission, vision, values, and goals, building culture is like some new thing? It's been going on for fucking years. Deming started in Japan. Even before him, there were people talking about doing that. Building professional learning communities. Don't act like this is something new. Don't act like it's like a level above what everybody else already knows, because it isn't, and you're not. You're not. Man, this list is longer than I thought. I'm going to be here a long time. All right. No more No more constipating, suffocating system. We already talked about that, so we got that out of the way. You got to get better at learning how to sub players in at the right time and making changes during the game. We saw BJ do it better than you, and we saw Hudson do it better than you. Don't tell me they learned it from you, because you had no examples to provide to them for them to learn that from you. Somehow their instincts are better than yours. Maybe you should keep BJ on the staff, because he seems to have a better idea, instinctual idea, of when to change and how to change and who to change than you do. Remember when you only played Reyna at wing? I mentioned the number 10 spot. Stop doing that. Play him in the midfield. Even if it's not a 10. If you have to play him as an 8, play him as an 8. I don't care. But stop playing him as a winger. Never do another PowerPoint ever again that says the goal of this fucking, or the mission of this team, is to change the way the world views American soccer. Fuck the world. And you know how we change the way? We win. That happens organically. It happens naturally. And it also happens because we've got all these fucking great players playing in top teams and top leagues. They'll do that. You don't need to have that be your goal. Your goal is to help us perform in big tournaments. Copa America, World Cup. And it isn't for you to put up on a PowerPoint. That's fucking ridiculous. Who gave you that stupid idea? Stick and focus on the job. Don't be grabbing at clouds. All right? The job is to perform at a high level at big tournaments. That's the job. I don't really fucking care what the world thinks. And you shouldn't either. Because that'll happen on its own. No more of that. The Jordan Morris sub at the World Cup. No more of that. Remember when Pepe said that Hudson was a breath of fresh air because it gave him the freedom to do more and to make channel runs and to get behind the line and to come back and help out when needed? Freedom! This is second reminder on freedom. Give it to the players. You can listen. During your reign, R9s were non-existent. That can't happen anymore. You almost never use any formations outside of 4-3-3. You try to fucking fuck around a couple times. Every time you did it, it fucking sucked. So how is it that Hudson can come in and play a 4-2-3-1 so effectively without Adams? Maybe you can too? I mean, what BJ did was pretty awesome too. Very flexible system. You saw players go into the attack, then got back when they needed to get back. Reyna was able to come back and be defensive when he needed to be defensive. Very flexible system. It didn't seem like the players were super constipated. So no more of your constipation. And I already brought that up anyhow, but some of these things need to be reiterated. Remember when you said you didn't know if Josh Sargent was a striker just because he was having a rough time in the Premier League and the Championship? Remember when he said that? Don't say things like that. You know what he is. Don't use that as an excuse not to call some guy up. Just say he's just not having a good time. He's not performing at his optimum level. That's all you have to say. Well, I don't know if he's a striker or what the fuck he is. You know exactly what the fuck he is, dumbass. I promised I would be nice. I just called you a dumbass. But some of the things you've said are just ridiculous. Like this quote from just the other day about Reyna. You said, we want to get the best out of him, and we know that if we can unlock his talents, he's going to be a game changer for this program. Excuse me, I think his talents have already been unlocked, for the most part, at Dortmund. His talent is pretty fucking obvious. Hello, dumbass. The talent is already there. The talent's unlocked. It's for the world to see. Okay? He's very talented. He's just going to get better, too. If that's what you meant, you should have said it. His talents are there. You didn't use them. Dummy. The World Cup. He had the talent already. Enough talent. You don't have to unlock shit. That's usually what clubs do. Clubs develop players, not national teams. You know this, so why do you say stupid things like that? Because you don't think it through. It just spews out of your mouth because you're an arrogant prick who doesn't think before he talks. Think before you talk. That's not what your job is. It's not to unlock his talent. That's what his clubs do. Now, if you're figuring out, well, how do I unlock his talent in my stupid system? God, I hope that's not what you're thinking. Because then that's a whole different question. That's on you, dummy. That's on you, dumbass. Man, I'm not being very nice at all. I want to know who the board member was, the one board member at U.S. Soccer who voted no on Gregg Berhalter. Because that guy should be the president of U.S. Soccer or the CEO, whatever you want. Who's that dude? Someone spill the beans on this. Let me know, because that guy should be the president of U.S. Soccer, because that guy sees through this farcical bullshit that Betty Crocker spewed on us, that embarrassed. It's an embarrassment. Herc said it. Everybody's saying it. This is fucking an embarrassment. Even the middle ground guys who don't usually criticize U.S. Soccer because they're too busy sucking U.S. Soccer's cock, saying this is embarrassing. They took the cock out of the mouth for just a second to say, you know what? This cock's not clean. This dude didn't take a bath or a shower, and it's gross, and I'm not sucking it for this one. Betty Crocker, you fucked up. Stupid. Can you imagine if we were trying to sign somebody like, I don't know, Jose Mourinho? I'll just use him as an example. And we were going to put him through a battery of practical and psychological tests. Seriously? You think that Jose Mourinho's like, look at my resume, bitch. I don't need to go through your battery of fucking practical and psychological testing. Just look at my resume, dumbass. Why do I need to jump through your stupid psychological hoops? Fuck you. That's the dumbest thing I heard, and that's from that Sportsology, those geniuses there. Fucking genius, corporate fucking dick. Man, All right. Some of the worst games I've ever watched the U.S. soccer team play have been during your tenure, Gregg. The worst. And that's with one of the most talented and, yes, young teams. I get it. But now there are no more excuses because these are not boys anymore. These are men. And they've been to a World Cup, and the majority of them play for big clubs. There's just no more excuses. These aren't little kids anymore. Some of them are young. I mean, yeah, we're a young team. But these are kids that are performing, if you want to call them kids, at a high level in some cases. We've seen them already play, like Pulisic performed at a high level before. He's maybe not with Chelsea, but we've seen it. So that's got to continue. I want to see when you take over this team grow. And if it stops growing when I watch the games and we go reverting back to what we watched before, which I call Berhalter ball, I'm calling you out. I won't hesitate. All right, that's the end of my letter to Gregg. I want to thank everybody that supported and watched our shows while Brett's been gone. He's in Jamaica. He's having a great time. Texted him a couple times today. And he should have a great time. That dude has 2 kids and a hard job. And, man, I hope he's getting some rest, too, while he's out there. Just some sleep, sleeping in, getting some sun, drinking some Coke and rum, although I'm not a fan of rum. Maybe even smoking a doobie, although Brett doesn't do that. All right. Again, thank you for being here. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all those things, those button things. Just hit them all. And I'll be back soon, or we'll be back soon, for normal hours on Monday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until the next time on the Straight Red Card, we'll see you soon. That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm,
Articulate and intelligent.
Gregg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them offensive as hell.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, fuck them.
Ooh, terrible! Bad! Not bad! Oh, pretty good. Okay, decent, fair, great, I loved it! Good!
This sucks. Yeah, you really gotta wonder how the stuff, gets made.